Later this month, the judge will decide if New Hanover County Commission Chair Julia Olson Bozeman will be held in contempt of court. That decision follows a year's worth of legal battles and investigations for the chairperson. WECT's investigative reporter Michael Prats brought the first investigation to light. So, Michael, where do things stand with that case now?
Well, John, it is still ongoing along with another investigation, but for one client of Olson Bozeman, the last year has been just as trying on him. What started as the story of a father desperate for answers following the loss of his children has turned into something much more for the New Hanover County Commissioner.
I'm shocked. I didn't think it was actually this big or this many people that she's gotten over on.
Gary Holyfield lost his daughter and stepson in a car accident in 2018. He hired Julia Olson Bozeman as his attorney to get the state to take efforts to prevent any more crashes.
I wanted a guardrail up there at that accident site, and I wanted a tombstone at her gravesite, which is still not there.
But after paying $20,000 to Olson Bozeman, Holyfield said she stopped responding to him and never did any work for him. He then filed a complaint with the North Carolina State Bar, as well as a criminal complaint with the Wilmington Police Department, who turned it over to the State Bureau of Investigations. The SBI, along with the state's chief financial crimes prosecutor, are looking into the incident, and those investigations are still ongoing. In a separate incident, the State Board of Elections looked into her failure to file campaign finance reports for several years, a problem that Olson Bozeman has since fixed. The State Bar also announced another unrelated investigation into Olson Bozeman. In March of this year, a judge issued a preliminary injunction against the former lawyer for allegations of mismanaging client funds and making, quote, material misrepresentations to the State Bar about it. The bar ordered her to turn over banking information.
All of that requested information relates to Olson Bozeman's bank accounts since 2019, including 2 accounts that we know belong to her and at least in 1 account that we reasonably believe belongs to her.
But the bar says after months of asking, she hasn't complied. That's why the bar is asking a judge to determine if she should be held in contempt of court, which could lead to even more legal troubles. As for Holyfield's original complaint, there's still no resolution, and says a year of waiting is taking its toll.
And it hurts. I mean, it would hurt any father or any mother, you know, and sometimes you get tired of seeing it and hearing it, and you just wish it would all be over with. And of course, that's going to take time, but it's been hell.
And I reached out to Olson Bozeman about the ongoing investigations, but she has declined to comment. The judge will be there. Julia Olson Bozeman has been ordered to be in court on July the 18th for that contempt of court hearing. John?
Michael, have you heard anything from the state about any of the other investigations?
Well, John, the State Bar can't confirm or deny an investigation is underway, but Holyfield has shared emails with us that show that it is ongoing. Meanwhile, a financial crimes prosecutor with the state also confirmed that investigation is open. John?
All right, Michael, thanks for the update tonight on that Investigates report.
WECT News begins now with breaking news.
The chairwoman of the New Hanover County Commission is now ordered to spend weekends in jail for the next 90 days after being held in contempt of court.
For months, WECT has investigated Julia Olson Bozeman's handling of client funds. One of her clients claims he paid Olson Bozeman $20,000 for what she called a retainer, but he says she never filed his case with the state. After months of investigations by the State Bar Association, a judge today issued an arrest order after ruling Bozeman in contempt of court.
WECT's Michael Prats was the only reporter in the courtroom in Wake County today and has more on why Olson Bozeman could end up behind bars.
New Hanover County Commission Chairwoman Julia Olson Bozeman wasn't in court on Monday morning in Wake County, where a judge found her guilty of contempt of court. A judge ordered Olson Bozeman to turn over banking records in March after the State Bar obtained a court order for her to do just that. But since that didn't happen, Judge Norland Graves made his determination.
The court finds that Mrs. Julia Olson Bozeman is in direct contempt of a court order.
Civil contempt is used to get compliance with the court order. In this case, Bozeman is required to provide the state bar with that banking information. Attorney for the bar, Robert Weston, had to prove 4 points to the judge to justify contempt, one of which is proving Olson Bozeman knew about the injunction. Not only did the bar email and mail letters to Bozeman, but Weston says her comments made to WECT and the media prove this as well.
We also know that Ms. Olson Bozeman has made statements to the media about this injunction. I attached that to my motion for an order to show cause.
Not only was Olson Bozeman not in court Monday, social media posts appear to show she isn't even in the country, currently vacationing in Italy. Despite her absence, the judge made it clear that she either has to turn over the records or spend time in jail.
The court hereby orders that a order for arrest shall issue, that Mrs. Olson Bozeman be in prison beginning this Friday evening at 6 o'clock p.m. and she shall be released Monday morning at 8 o'clock a.m.
Olson Bozeman can prevent going to jail for any time if she just complies with the court order and turns over those financial records. Reporting in Raleigh, Michael Pratz, WECT News.
The chairman of the New Hanover County Democratic Party released a statement to us that read in part, here's the quote, "It appears Mrs. Olson Bozeman has found herself in an untenable position by disregarding the rule of law." Andre Brown went on to say, "I do not know her rationale was for not showing up for court and defending herself, but she will now have to suffer the consequences for her misconduct." End quote.
Just a week ago, WECT's Michael Pratz did a full breakdown of the timeline of the Julia Olson Bozeman investigation. You can find that full report on WECT.com. We will also keep you updated on air and online as more information is released. Make sure you download the free WECT News app and turn on breaking news alerts.
It's now 24 hours and counting for New Hanover County Commission Chair Julia Olson Bozeman.
If Olson Bozeman does not follow a judge's order and turn over financial documents to the state bar by 6 o'clock tomorrow night, she may end up in jail. There are calls to remove Olson Bozeman from her seat as county commissioner.
WECT's Michael Pratz has looked into the process of doing that, and he found out it's not as simple as many people might think.
Removing an elected county commissioner from office in North Carolina isn't easy. Since voters elect them to serve in office, it's typically up to them to have them removed. However, there are ways that it can be done without going to the ballot box. There are requirements to serve as an elected official in North Carolina. For one, you must be an eligible voter. To be removed from the county commission, one would have to be convicted of a felony or moved from the county, and state law doesn't give other commissioners the power to unseat a fellow board member. Though in 2013, New Hanover County commissioners tried to do just that. The board at the time voted 3-2 to remove Brian Berger from office. But that move ended up costing taxpayers $100,000 in legal fees, and Berger was reappointed following a lawsuit. Now there are new calls to remove Julia Olson Bozeman from the county commission following her recent contempt of court ruling. However, Commissioner Jonathan Barfield says regardless of what people think they should do, their hands are tied.
The fact that the public elects us to serve, and unlike the state of California, we have a recall election. Only the public can also recall someone by going to the ballot box at the primary or the next election and either voting for or not voting for someone. But counties are an extension of state government, and so we can't make up our own rules as we go. We can't just do what we want to do at the local level.
Barfield and other commissioners have emphasized that Julia Olson Bozeman's legal troubles are personal in nature and that they're focused on providing services and continuing the business of the county. Reporting in Wilmington, Michael Pratz, WECT News.
Case closed. Tonight, a county commissioner who was facing jail time for not complying with a court order appears to have provided banking records to the state. New Hanover County Commission Chairwoman Julia Olson Bozeman's legal troubles with the North Carolina State Bar led to a judge finding her in contempt of court, and he issued an order for arrest for her failure to turn over banking records. WECT's investigative reporter Michael Pratz has been following this story since March, and he has an update for us tonight.
The preliminary injunction filed against Commissioner Olson Bozeman was issued on March 14th this year, and in late August, the case was closed. That doesn't mean the chairwoman is out of the woods just yet. It just means that the state can now continue its initial investigation into her handling of client funds. The North Carolina State Bar made an initial request for Olson Bozeman's banking records in December of 2021, and according to emails from her then attorney, things started off with the commissioner complying. In that email, her attorney reveals that in May of 2021, Olson Bozeman transferred her pending cases to another attorney, Frank Pope. However, when it came down to money remaining in her client trust accounts, things weren't adding up. Pope refused to take the money since she was unable to say what money belonged to which client. The alleged mishandling of client funds led to the temporary injunction that required Olson Bozeman to turn over even more banking records, but for nearly 6 months, that didn't happen. The entire ordeal could have stayed out of court for the most part had Olson Bozeman produced those banking records. When she didn't, the State Bar asked a judge for help enforcing the court order, and that led to a judge issuing an order for Olson Bozeman's arrest, but that was lifted for 21 days so she could comply, with a deadline of August 31st. While the court documents don't specifically say Olson Bozeman provided all the requested documents, that was the requirement the order stated had to happen to put this matter to rest. So what's next? Assuming Olson Bozeman has turned over all of those documents, the State Bar can determine if there's any need for disciplinary actions. Then, the State Bureau of Investigation will determine if any of those actions are criminal in nature. If they are, a state prosecutor has already been appointed to handle what comes next. Michael Prats, WECT News.
The Workforce Rental Assistance Program and a whole range of programs that have been stood up under your leadership on that front.
You're the best.
Yes, ma'am. Congratulations.
A very short farewell from the former chair.
Former chair of the New Hanover County Commissioners, Julia Olson Bozeman, didn't stick around for a long goodbye today in her final meeting. She took the plaque from County Manager Chris Coudray and left for the exit as the crowd was in the process of giving her a standing ovation.